We go green for the final time for round 2. What a screaming getaway from Robertson. Oh, I think Fox had a huge tap from behind. That's thrown Robertson off the racetrack and into the last position. Oh, just such a poor start for the rookie. He looked good to take the lead, and now he's gone from 1st to 10th.
And that's the big issue with this series. Even if you get a big early jump, one little mistake from behind that doesn't involve you could catch you up. Now the big question, who's going to joker on the opening lap? Everyone's lined up and they scream down towards the hairpin. Mitchell looks like he's going to take the shortcut. Josh Fox looks like on the outside. Is that Trogan? I think he's going to be the first to not take the shortcut.
Yeah, actually, no, it's Johan Hart that joins him for the joker. Josh Fox is actually down the order. So Johan Hart, a brilliant start from him, from 4th on the grid on the 2nd row, is joining De Jong here in a battle for the win. Now there's going to be more time, of course, in this feature race. 10 laps of action as usual. And those two are in a battle for the lead. That's going to be ever important. Now, who's in 3rd? It's Sami Matti Trogan. Oh, you just can't stop this guy now. He could extend his championship lead if things go his way.
We're going to have to wait and see. Keep in mind that Mitchell finished 2nd, and with a win today, even if Sammy Trigger finishes 3rd, that would be Mitchell with the points lead, I believe, as they work through in this sector and up towards the tighter part of the racetrack. Now the question is, though, Johnny, is how close can Sammy keep to your top 2, and how long till cars behind Sammy start jokering? Remember, we saw how it affected Mitchell de Jong last week, not jokering in a great time and not managing the traffic well. Trogan needs to keep an eye on those cars behind him, see if any cars suddenly pop out in front of him, and if he maybe needs to joker earlier than he might want, but he's within striking distance of Johan Hart right now.
I think Trogan's going to trust his Finnish compatriot of Otto Taskinen for now and hope that he doesn't take to the joker. I think Chepelevsky in 5th is just a bit too far behind. If he takes the joker, I don't think he'll end out in front of Trogan as we ride on board with him here through the final sector. And let's have a look this time, Randy. I think he's playing it right. Oh, to Otto, yeah, you're right. Otto behind's going for the joker. Oh, no, he's ended out ahead here of Trogan. The worst thing to happen for our championship leader.
Now can Sami Matti Trogan, he has to joker right here, right now. He should have known what happened to Mitchell last week. He hasn't, I think, gotten held up too bad by Otto just yet, but we do know that they could always be in effect here, as still your leaders, still within a second one another, but here comes the shortcut for Sami Matti Trogan. Shortcut this time. Will he be compared to Johan Hart? I think Johan should be fine.
Still important points, though, for the Finn. The young man who's raced along with Heikkinen in the real world. He's just driven oh so well, has Sami Matti Trogan this season. But he'll end up no greater than 3rd for the moment, unless something goes wrong for the American or the Frenchman behind. And you have to say, Randy, now, what's happened to Chepelevsky? Has he been passed by Josh Fox? I've just seen the timing screens update, and yeah, it's true. Josh Fox ahead of Chepelevsky.
We have this big scrap on screen. You've seen John Robertson involved with this fight. A couple of other drivers as well. I believe Adrian Perez has been in the middle of it. I think may have just taken up. I'll take that back. That Volkswagen's at the end. But we're looking at the Williams Esports car of Josh Fox. But 4 cars here, all lined up nose to tail. They stay passing as hard here, Johnny. And these guys, they got to do it the hard way. When they're all stacked up on each other like this, they're all fighting for a top 5.
And the event almost over. That was Fox and Chepelevsky both scraping the wall. Now Fox goes for the joker. So he's having a brilliant event after that just absolute poor first start. And he'll still end up in 5th at best. Now the problem is, like, I thought qualifying was going to be important today, Randy. It was actually avoiding collisions at the start, it seems.
Well, I mean, that's really the big thing in this series, isn't it? It's, I think, what's defined the first 2 races that we've had is just the way the incidents at the opening corner have really affected the races and strung things out. And joker management still being a big thing for drivers as well, as now with Josh Fox jokering, that makes it a 3-car scrap between Cheppy, Robertson, and Perez.
Only a couple laps to go here. We ride on board with the Spaniard. Heading over the jump. Now, there was talk with the drivers saying just managing the oscillation at the exit of the jump is ever so critical. And that's a corner there, that right-hander, Randy, where a lot of drivers tend to use the handbrake, but your pro rallycross drivers here, they say you don't need to use it through there.
Yeah, they're definitely right. You can definitely just sort of manage it with the brake and throttle pedal, how you manage that oversteer. You don't need to get too aggressive with it, but I'll definitely say I am in the park that I just like reaching up and yoinking that handbrake. But we shift our focus now to the number 24 VRS Coentus Subaru of Mitchell DeYoung, who he looks keen to going into the final corner and winning round 2 here.
The more time you give to this young American, the more dominant he gets. He's taken 5 career wins last year. This will be number 6. He crosses the line and wins round 2 of the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship from Daytona.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
We're now 2 rounds into the 2019 campaign, and we still have no clue as to who will break free at the top of the championship standings. And it's time to find out. Welcome to Sonoma Raceway, located in the southern Sonoma Mountains in California in the United States of America. Today it hosts the 3rd round of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship, with all coverage on your beloved RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network on our associated platforms. The circuit of Sonoma, it's 1.5 kilometers in length. That's just under a mile, depending on your units of choice. It's clockwise in nature and includes 6 long radius corners. The lap begins with a very tight turn-in through the gravel. That's also known as the carousel. When you race there in tarmac, you'll find it very familiar here with how NASCAR races here in the real world, of course, and many other racing series. Then we head back onto the tarmac. The jump and the joker located towards the end of the lap. The joker skips the jump, and that is going to be critical because the joker delta time we're expecting around 2 seconds, and that could prove pivotal during the race later today. Good afternoon, everybody. Jonathan Simon on hand in the commentary booth alongside Randolph Cheneth. There's the schedule on screen, Randy. We head to Sonoma today, Lucas Oil in a week's time, but this track today at Sonoma, it's not only loved by the drivers, we have it twice on the calendar, and as a California native yourself, this track can be quite green during the winter months.
Yeah, it definitely can. You generally see this sort of brown coloration you see during the summer months, but in winter it really does green up. You do see the same effect actually out at Laguna Seca, but it's going to be a fun race for sure. As you said, it really is a driver favorite amongst the drivers. They really do love wheeling around this place. It's a lot of fun. It's the only track we have that really features elevation changes, and of the tracks we repeat, Johnny, this is going to be the first one we come to the next time, which is only in about 3 or 4 weeks time from now. So it's going to be a nice little preview and not a lot of refresh time for the drivers when we end up coming back here.
Exactly. We have no breaks in between weeks. What a brilliant camera shot that was through the final corner at Sonoma. And of course, we do head to, now what Randy's saying there, we do head to 3 circuits twice, but we don't head to the same layout at Atlanta or Daytona. We're using different layouts there. Now through Sonoma here, the challenges, Randy, I'd say are just trying to find the right setup for this car in not only qualifying conditions, which we're about to commence now, but then feature race conditions later on, because the track can get quite worn if the conditions aren't reset. And that means it's essentially pretty much entirely tarmac for the entire lap.
Yeah, it really can. Once the track states get worn out, because it's not like it's a gravel surface all the way through. It is a loose dirt surface on top of asphalt. So when that starts wearing out, it really does generate sort of an asphalt racing line, and it's still a little bit loose, so you don't have the total grip you'd have on asphalt, but it's a lot grippier than you would have right now as you're watching a couple drivers out there on their warm-up at the moment, as we're about a minute out from qualifying opening up and seeing who's going to take it on. And of course, the big story coming into this, though, Johnny, I have to say, probably the fact that we're going to be missing Mitchell de Jong due to the other sim racing commitments.
Exactly. Mitchell de Jong is definitely going to miss round 3 this week and most likely miss round 4 due to other sim racing commitments. Now, of course, that just opens up the championship, Randy, for the likes of Sammy Matty Trogan, Johan Harth. How about Williams Esports' Josh Fox? Don't forget Stelian Chepelevsky, of course, and we also got to include John Robertson and our runner-up from 2018, Joni Heikkinen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to really see what happens here, because if some of your guys that have been generally getting into the feature, the likes of Trogan, Johan Fox, Cheppy, Robertson, and Heikkinen, if they have issues, I think, getting into the feature here, this could very well keep Mitchell in the championship. But if the bulk of those drivers don't have any problems and get through, Mitchell's going to find himself, I think, trying to grasp his way up when he eventually returns to possibly and hopefully get back in towards that championship. But it'll be a big ask, I think, for the driver, the number 24, regardless.
And here we are qualifying for round 3 now for the first time. Now, for those of you who are new to the series, welcome, of course. It'll be 5 minutes of qualifying action, and each driver is allowed 3 laps maximum. We watch Kevin Carlisle on screen, the American, and unfortunately for him, every race is a home round. That should say that's fortunate for him, but unfortunate last round, he had some technical issues joining the race, Randy, so he was actually technically the only driver missing at about 26.
Yeah, unfortunate for the ART Subaru Winter Experience driver who see him get to the top of the hill. You run that sector of the racetrack in reverse from what we typically see, and it's not until this right-hander at the top of the hill that you throw the car sideways and it transitions from gravel to asphalt, and you work down towards this tight hairpin that you start getting back in the traditional direction of the circuit. But we'll see what his first lap time is going to be coming through. Quickest lap in practice with Johan Hart at a 40.127. The track may be a little bit quicker now. In the qualifying, he'll come through at a 6.63, but he will not be the quickest mark of the drivers who do their first lap.
And the talk amongst the virtual paddock, Randy, is that the Apex cars, those ART Subaru Winter Experience cars, they're going to be a lot quicker on this fresher track.
Yeah, they definitely will be. That's been the big reason you're seeing so many of these Subarus. Is Otto Taskinen is now out there for a timed lap, and it's Johan Hart, though, who's at the top of the timing screen at the moment, and you see him working through on his second of 3 laps as he's going to work up towards the top of this hill and drop back down in towards the hairpin and in towards the final couple of corners. But Johan has been greatly quick, and like you said, there's been huge discussions on whether or not the Subaru is better in the race trim or not, but they've been so consistent getting in towards the main there, Johnny, that even on the worn out tracks, they've just been fighting against themselves, so there's no real disadvantage to be had.
Yeah, most certainly. Now, these lap times right now in the low 40-second range as Johan Harth takes provisional pole. There's been a lot of talk about Stelian Chepelevsky's pace and how quick he is, of course. We just saw Bobby Zelensky on screen. How about this young man, the rookie, John Robertson from the UK? He's had an abysmal couple of first rounds in terms for him in terms of expectations, but you know what? Without Mitchell de Jong here today, let's tip a new feature race winner. It could be this young man.
It could very well be, but there's just so many drivers that are so competitive. It's hard not to say Sammy Matty Trogan might be the first repeat winner of the championship, but there's definitely some drivers in terms of pace in this qualifying session that are trying to get themselves to the top of that timing sheet and really come away with another one while they can. John will come to the end of this lap, and, well, he's going to start the next one. It was a 43.93. Currently sits 5th quickest of all as we now look at the Set Esports car of Joni Heikkinen, one of the most dominant drivers last year, Johnny, and I'll have to say his series has not gotten off to the start he would have liked this year.
No, certainly not. He's just lacked that little bit of extra oomph that we saw him have last year. Now, whether it's the switch to the Subaru, we don't know. He's definitely pushing to the edge here. And I don't think this lap time will count for sure here as he takes to the Joker in qualifying. He's completed all 3 laps, and Joni Häkkinen will qualify no greater at the moment than the 7th position. So again, Randy, not where we're used to seeing the Finn.
Yeah, not where he'd want to be. He's sort of in the upper end of the mid-pack right now, so he'll be starting relatively deep in whichever heat race he gets relegated to. Still a couple drivers that we're waiting to see if they can improve on their qualifying, and Nathan Lyon has to go out there and qualify. Oh, actually, no, I take that back. Nathan's been out for all 3 laps, but all 3 were invalidated, so the driver of the 47 car is not going to get a time in, and that's going to be unfortunate for him because we've seen the importance of starting at the head of these fields, Johnny.
And you know what? iRacing has clamped down on the off-tracks and the slowdown penalties as Nathan Lyon... I'm just trying to see if he's actually... I'm pretty sure you're right, Randy. Yeah, all 3 laps were invalidated. I just got a bit excited because he was still completing his lap. But iRacing have added some cones. The slowdowns here at Sonoma are clamped down just a little more. So we're not going to see drivers driving all out onto the grass like we did last year, which became a little bit ridiculous. So it's good to see iRacing clamp down on that.
Yeah, it definitely is. Really forced drivers have to keep it on the gravel. I was going to say on the black stuff, but of course the whole lap isn't black stuff. But 5 seconds out in the qualifying session from the horn being sounded, and heat race number 1 getting gridded up. And I'll be honest, Johnny, I'm just excited. This is a driver favorite. They get a good opportunity here to put on a good show at one of their favorite circuits.
And plenty of racing action to take place. Plenty of overtaking, of course. Let's look at the Heat 1 grid for the first time today. It includes your pole sitter, Johan Hart, the Frenchman, tipped to have a breakout year in 2019, kicking it off in round 3 with style. He'll be joined by Taskinen, Häkkinen, Kevin Carlisle, the American, and then a couple of other Americans behind. That include Garrett Maines, Phil Diaz, and then Daniel Matrani, the Spaniard, will be joined by Matthew Madigan in 7th and 8th. Now, Randy, it's a tight run down to turn 1. This is the tough part here in Rallycross, and it always causes some issues.
Yep, always does, as these guys are getting ready to get the start here, waiting on a couple more people just to hit the grid. But yeah, it's a very tight run, and that first corner you go through, Johnny, is so tight, and it narrows up from about 3 lanes down to 2. So you're going to have to relatively quickly get yourself sorted and go through. And it's all asphalt as well, so really going to work for these guys up until that first right-hander that takes you to the jump. Or the second right-hander, excuse me.
So everybody ready to go here for round 3 of the Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. 5 laps, of course, as usual for the heats, and we go green for the first time from Sonoma. And 3-1 somehow works. They're now 2x2. Anyone going to make a move up the inside? That looks like one of the ART drivers of Kevin Carlisle with a rapid getaway. How about Otto Taskinen shuffled out of the way? 2 ART cars in the top 2 positions.
Let's see how it works. Up the hill to the carousel for the first time. Kevin Carlisle slaps one of the tire barriers and spins at the head of the field. That's going to put him well down the running order. That eliminates one of your ART cars. Johan Harstow is clearly broken away, and it's Otto Taskinen who settled into second, with Garrett Maines trying to chase him down in the Volkswagen.
Oh, what was that on the replay? Did he have a rear lockup, Randy, or something?
I'm not really sure. He got the car turned a little almost too good into the corner and ended up on the inside of the racing surface and just basically, T-boned that the tire bollard. But
tire bollard, yeah.
Joker's coming through now for just about everyone on their first lap. Your first, I think, 4 or 5 cars all took to the Joker. I believe Garrett Maines is going to be the first one who didn't. He'll be followed by the likes of Phil Diaz and Matt Madigan.
And it's a 2-second Joker delta time. So what we mean by that is you save or you gain about 2 seconds by taking to the Joker. So a very good strategy here by Daniel Matrani. We ride on board with Garrett Maines, the privateer runner in 2019, and he follows Daniel Matrani, the Spaniard, and it looks like Garrett Maines is taking to the Joker.
Yeah, he's going to more than surely get rid of Daniel and put Daniel in his rearview mirror. So now the number 1 car, Garrett Main, is there any way he can reel in this 1.7 seconds to Otto Taskinen? He's got basically 2.5 laps to do it now as they work up the hill, and I'd love to see one of these Volkswagen, Johnny, get the clip and go straight through into the feature round today. We haven't seen it. They've one Volkswagen we've seen had to do it through an LCQ. I'd love to see one, or even the Fiesta, transfer through in the heat races.
And this is critical for Joni Heikkinen because he was caught up in that first lap incident with Kevin Carlisle. Heikkinen is yet to take to the Joker, but I don't think he's going to advance to the heat because in each of our 3 heat races this afternoon, Randy, only 2 advance to the feature and the rest of them head through to the consolation races. I think Heikkinen's day is done for the heat so far, and he's going to have to do it from the consolation rounds for sure.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, like you said, it's only a 2-second gain taking to the Joker, and he finds himself 11 seconds off the leaders, 8 seconds off the likes of Garrett Main. So there's no way that Heikkinen, unless the entire field in front of him somehow implodes, end up transferring their way through. But drivers getting ready to see the white flag right here as they take to the jump for the penultimate time.
And Johan Hart, the Frenchman, he drove really well here last year in terms of just aggression. Had a very fun S2S snake driving at this corner here in the carousel with Stelian Chepelevsky, his teammate now in 2019. And he's got a few more corners to go. And now pole and a Heat 1 win are the perfect way to kick off your campaign for round 3.
Definitely is. Good way to get yourself a good solid starting position for the feature, which we know is all important.
Yep, and that means Hearth should go through, but as long as he doesn't butcher that final corner. Here's the thrilling jump at Sonoma, and it will be Johan Hearth joined by Positive Sim Racing's Otto Taskinen. The Finn joins him straight through to the feature race. Everybody else will head through to our 2 consolation races. Couple of last-second jokers there on the final lap. Now, there were the results, Randy, but I don't know if I would save that joker for the final lap because you lose the advantage I think you'd gain on that main straight, or am I wrong?
I think you actually might be right. Like you said, you get a nice little shortcut when you cut through on the Joker. I think saving it for lap 3, lap 4 is maybe smart, but doing it lap 5, not the greatest, as your grid ticks down on the bottom of your screen.
Yep, it includes the ever-quick Sammy Matty Trogan, our winner for round 1. Chepelevsky, yet to win a feature race in his 2 years in the series. Zadzon, Zelensky behind. Then it's Connor Parisi, Garrett Lowe, Logan Clampett, and Nathan Lyon, who failed to set a qualifying time. Now, another 5 laps of action, of course. 1 joker available to the drivers. The top 2 will head to the feature race. And we go green from Sonoma yet again. And brilliant start by Sami Matty Trogan. How about Chepelevsky hanging out a few drivers there to dry? And is that Zelensky with a rapid getaway? Chepelevsky sandwiched between an abundance of Rallycross drivers at the moment. Where is he? Is he 4th? Is he 5th? I have no clue.
Oh, it's looking close. Parisi and Zelensky. Zelensky basically used the nose of Parisi's car to turn into the corner.
Oh, wow.
And then secondary contact as well. And that's going to throw Garrett Lowe, your winner from Iowa last year. He'll take the transfer spot in the sole Fiesta that we have running in the series.
Oh, wow. This is calamity. We're right on board with Yorgi Zadzon. And I just don't think Chepelevsky expected Zadzon to throw it up the inside. Certainly a racing incident from my eyes. But now, we don't know who's going to take to the Joker on the opening lap here. Sami Matty Trogan opts for it. I think he's the only safe driver for the moment, Randy. That 2nd spot in this heat is up for grabs.
Garrett Lowe's going to lose that 2nd spot for the moment off of the driver, Stelian Chepelevsky, who just jokered. I think that's a mistake by Garrett Lowe, not jokering on that lap. He's now going to catch some traffic with Chepelevsky, and a driver we didn't talk about as well, Johnny. Look at Nathan Lyon. He started in this heat race in dead last, and he's now up to a net P4 right behind this fight between Stelian and Garrett Lowe. Great start from Nathan as he clips the wall there on the inside, but a couple of the underdog cars, Fiesta and a Volkswagen, trying to punch their way up into the main. Garrett goes to the shortcut.
And now, exactly, Garrett Lowe joined by Lyon at the shortcut, and that's going to promote Garrett Lowe to 2nd. Now, Chepelevsky needs to hunt him down. Now, Randy, I'm not trying to create a scene out of nothing, but Garrett Lowe has a feature race victory. Chepelevsky doesn't. This needs to be personal right now for the Bulgarian.
Yeah, probably just a little bit. He needs to dig down right here, break away from Nathan Lyon, and chase down Garrett any way that he can. He's not very far back, and he's going to have 2 laps to do it. The gap, I think, can be reeled in, but it's going to be a big ask regardless for Stillian as they come through in toward the final corner and then up and over the jump. They'll be seeing 2 to go this time.
You never know. You just never know as we see a brilliant shot there of the drivers screaming through the main straight. Will Chepelevsky catch Garrett Lowe for that final transfer spot? Hey, we've forgotten about Sammy Matty Trogan, man. Randy, look where he is. He's all on his own in the first position on the timing screens by 4 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to forget about him when he's that far up the road. But yeah, Sammy Matty Trogan, we saw him have a great round 1. We saw him have a very, very good round 2. But he's looking great here in the 3rd race as well. As up and over the jump, he'll go and see the white flag. This will be the test. It seems to me that Stillian has not reined in very much time here, Johnny, over the last couple laps. Garrett Lowe, I think, is mostly safe, saving a big mistake. But look at Bobby Zelensky, who takes to the Joker, and he'll jump Nathan Lyon.
Oh, who knows what would have happened to Bobby had he had not such a, had he had a much cleaner start. Maybe you could have been up there for that 2nd position, but he'll head through to the consolation races anyway. He'll be okay. Same with Chepelevsky. At least Chepelevsky has good grid position for the consolation races, but I'm not sure if he'll have it for those feature events later on. Let's see. Trogan wins Heat 2. He'll be joined by Garrett Lowe. And Chepelevsky will be 3rd and Zelensky 4th. So Clamper will take to the Joker on the final lap, but he'll still remain in 5th. No change to that position. And I quite enjoyed that heat, Randy.
Yeah, that was quite good. It kind of had everything, didn't it? A nice little battle for 2nd. The likes of Stillian and Bobby checking into that fight. That was a lot of fun to watch. And that's the first time we see one of the blue ovals make their way into the feature today. One of those Fords. I shouldn't say blue ovals. The Subaru logo's a blue oval as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's the grid for Heat 3 right now. It includes 7 drivers: Robertson, Hallman, Bobby Sant Jr., Josh Fox starting from 4th is surprising. What about Adria Perez from 5th? And then we have Matt Adams and Michael Guest rounding out the field at the moment. Michael Guest is going to be joined by Matt Adams soon enough once he joins the grid there. It looks like a bowling alley at the moment, Randy, when you look at the start, doesn't it? Looks like I could throw a bowling ball down there.
I don't like that comparison because that puts some presumption on what the end results might be.
Well, let's hope it's clean for the start here. The final heat of the day for round 3. Oh, one driver didn't get off the line at all. I think that's Josh Fox. Josh Fox has stalled. Issues for the Williams Esports driver. But into the first corner now, Robertson leads. Hallman's also had a poor getaway in that set esports car. Adria Perez in the VW have a blistering getaway here, and he's up in a 2nd.
And Jim Beaver Esports, Bobby Sant Jr., he'll settle into 3rd. We see Jim Beaver Esports in so many of the World Championships, but up the inside, Matt Adams from North Force Racing. What a move from the 17, slotting up the inside of Bobby Sant Jr. Oh, we got a car off in the background. Michael Guest.
Oh, Michael Guest. Yep, you're right. Michael Guest is... I mean, he's not even on the racetrack. What's wrong with Michael Guest? Here's a replay, Randy. I want to see if there was contact here.
See what happens as he works up this really 3rd corner from the start of the... Oh, he just clipped one of the tire bollards, and he starts heading for the wine vineyards.
Oh, God. Yeah, he was... I'm surprised he found his way back onto the racetrack. Hey, a nice little joker here to begin the race. John Robertson took to the joker. Now, if you're new to the series, you can identify that at the top of the screen by the green tick. Any driver with the red X means they still have that joker available and be able to gain about 2 seconds on everybody else. That's what it's calculated as for the shortcut. But this is brilliant so far for Adria Perez, who he'll be straight to the feature race. Adria Perez, you know, for a driver who... in the opening couple of rounds, I mean, he
Watch
made
Matt
the
Adams.
race.
Watch Matt Adams. Matt Adams was close, and he's just now taken to the shortcut. He's not going to rein in as much time as I thought he would have. I don't think that was a great shortcut there by Matt Adams. He only jumps up 1 spot, but I thought he was going to reel in much more time over Adria Perez than he managed.
Yeah, good spot there, exactly. So Matt Adams will sit in 3rd for the moment. Now, Perez doesn't have this feature race position locked in, Randy, but he did make the feature race last time at Daytona, so this is nothing new to him.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. He's the one who put that Volkswagen into the feature last week. I believe he had to do it through an LCQ. These guys are getting ready to see 2 to go. So Adria Perez trying to do it again, but he's got Matt Adams and Tommy Hallman. They both want that transfer spot, and they are close to the back of that MSI Esports Volkswagen Beetle. Up the hill they go. And oh, by the way, in the background, Josh Fox is going to join this fight for P2. Remember, we saw him completely mess up the start, not get off the line whatsoever. And now he's only a few car lengths off this fight for the transfer spot coming up towards the final lap.
This is going to be a lunge and a half by somebody here. We're not even sure if Robertson's going to make it. If Robertson makes a mistake here, it'll be out of contention for a top 2 spot. But how hungry does Matt Adams look right now? Adams, we ride on board with him for Nose Force Racing. I think in the background... Oh, yes, it's true. Tommy Hallman had a lunge up the background on Matt Adams. It was difficult to see from the onboard shot, but now the final lap begins, and it is all important right now. Shoved out of the way is Adria Perez. Adams into second.
And watch closely, the car you see lurking in the background, the 131 of Bobby Sant Jr. has not yet taken to the shortcut. Could he maybe jump everyone and be a bit of an upset driver? Matt Adams will have the transfer position for now, but for how long? In toward the final sequence of corners. Looks like it's going to be Robertson who wins, but who in the world is going to transfer?
It's going to be a drag race to the finish line. Oh, goodness gracious. Hallman couldn't get in front of Matt Adams, and that's going to mean Matt Adams goes to second. He's way off the racetrack now at the end of the race. He's joined by Robertson in that feature race. The first time we see Adams this season head straight through to the feature race. That's a brilliant performance by him. And now we head to our first consolation race already. And the grid will include Garrett Main starting from first, Hallman in second. The rest of the grid will cycle through at the bottom of the screen, Randy. But this is important for Josh Fox now, who had a poor getaway.
Yeah, but look at all the names we have in here. I'd say of all the names we've seen, Maines looked like he was quick enough to transfer. Hallman, I don't think Josh Fox transfers out of this C main. I think he's going home after this.
Well, it's going to be tough, exactly. I really hope he does, but I really hope, I'm not trying to sound too nice. You really hope all 8 do. But that's not the way we do this competition. 2 will advance to the feature out of this consolation race. It's the same format as the heats. The lights illuminate, and we go green for the first consolation race of the day. Hallman threw it into the first corner. Somehow all 3 only make a slight touch, and there's just absolute carnage here heading into what is now the final corner. And it's going to be a drag race to turn 1. It looks like Zelensky has the lead over Hallman. Josh Fox with a good getaway.
Yeah, he might make me eat my words here. He's already up to P3. Lurking behind him is going to be Michael Guest in 4th. And then Garrett Maines, who's your pole sitter, gets shuffled all the way back to P5. And he gets into the back of Michael Guest, who I think got a slowdown going up the hill and quickly got out of the way. But now Zelensky and Hallman will fight for the lead. And Hallman, what a move around the outside of the California to Zelensky. Something's wrong with Bobby. I think he's got a slowdown.
Yeah, he got a slowdown. He hit the first cone in the carousel, and he tried to get rid of it, but was unable to. Replay's up on screen. While that's taking place, Hallman and Fox took to the Joker, but this is Zelensky clearing that slowdown penalty. If you're new to iRacing, if you cut the track, you have to slow down a certain amount given to you locally.
And Josh Fox! Josh Fox at the inside of Tommy Hallman for the race lead up the carousel. My apologies for doubting you, Josh Fox. He goes into the race lead.
I looked down and thought Josh Fox was going to stay in second through the carousel. I look up and he's in first, Randy, within a second.
So no one wants to lead or transfer out of this last chance qualifier, it would seem like. Josh Fox with the race lead. Hallman will settle into P2. Phil Diaz, who I think may have missed his heat race, he's settled up into 3rd. Nathan Lyons up into 4th. And then Garrett Maines, who remember started on pole, back in towards P number 5. So drivers up and down the field right now. Drivers who still owe us a shortcut, by the way, are those 2 running 3rd and 4th of Nathan Lyon and Garrett Maines. 4th and 5th, as Hallman and Fox are still all over one another.
And we ride on board with a Finn. Doesn't need to win this race, does he, Randy? We're forgetting right now. It's only the top 2 that progress to the feature. So the more he battles away with Fox, the more that's going to allow the iRX Racing driver of Phil Diaz behind to promote himself into the top 2.
Thing is, though, I think if you're nervous about those drivers P4, P5, if you know that they have to shortcut, Johnny, you don't want to have them shortcut and pass the both of you and you be in second, because if that happens, you're just getting relegated to go home. You want to pick up that race lead and get yourself out of the bubble spot if you think there's any chance that someone jokers maybe takes the spot away. That said, I think they have enough of a gap that they should be safe. It's about a 4.1 second advantage, but any little mistake really can bring that 4.1 seconds right back down. But we'll have to wait and see if the 87 of Tommy Hallman decides to get aggressive here. A little bit loose coming through that final corner, but not a great landing for Josh Fox either as they see the white.
Yeah, you're right, Randy. I mean, 4 seconds. The driver said 1.8 seconds is realistically the Joker delta here. I mean, 2 seconds is very generous. As Hallman, he was thinking about it. He thought about a move there. I think he wants the Williams Esports driver ahead to get a move on. This is America versus Finland, or the United States of America, I should say, more officially. And on the final lap, please be smart, guys. Please be smart. Both of you are going to advance to the feature. Phil Diaz, he's not going to make it, unfortunately. Phil Diaz gave it all, though. And we're going to say goodbye to him for round 3, although he drove quite splendidly here in the consolation race. Fox and Hallman through to the feature. Goodbye, unfortunately, to some other names, big ones, including Zelensky and Guest.
Yeah, I think those are the two big ones, Bobby Zelensky and Michael Guest, down there at the bottom. Josh Fox, sorry for doubting you, buddy. That'll be a Twitch clip for sure, but when we talk about big hitters in LCQ1, there's more big hitters in LCQ2, notably that man on pole.
Chepelevsky, how about him? This is an important consolation race. He's joined by Daniel Matrani, Bobby Sant Jr., and the rest of the grid on screen. Be nice to see Logan Clampett have a good performance, and this is critical for Joni Heikkinen, who will start from 5th. It's very weird to see and say that only 2 of these drivers are going to head to the feature race. This is one of the most talented consolation fields we've had in the 2 years of the series right now. Lights illuminate for the final consolation race of the day. And we go green yet again at Sonoma. Drag race to this tight right-hander as a bottleneck. Daniel Matrani, the positive sim racing driver, into the lead.
Oh, and Logan Clampett in the background. He clips the tire bollard, and he gets slung into the center of the field. I think everyone keeps it rolling for the most part. Oh, no, I take that back. Kevin Carlisle got caught up in that in the background. But, oh, now it's Fidelosa, who after taking the race lead, he spins up the carousel, and he'll get freight trained by the pack. Andrea Perez gets shoved up the hill as well.
He collects his Spanish compatriot, and Matrani's on his roof. How is Daniel Matrani almost on his roof right now? Here's a replay. He lost that all on his own. And this is the famous carousel. And now how did he get on his roof here, Daniel Matrani? This is ridiculous. Oh, that's just bizarre. That's just bizarre.
Chepelevsky, by the way, while that was happening, Stilian Chepelevsky, who was leading, got a slowdown. He now drops down the order, and so it's going to be Joni Heikkinen and Bobby Sant Jr. who lead.
And I spoke to Chepelevsky before the event. He is not a fan of the slowdowns here, but it's the same field for everyone, unfortunately. You just got to deal with it. But how surprising is this? And ironically, yet unsurprising, Joni Heikkinen in first.
Yeah, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, I think. Bobby Sant Jr., keeping with the strategy we saw in some of his early races, not yet gone to the shortcut. Joni Heikkinen took it on his first opportunity, so Bobby's saving that in his back pocket for a little bit. Logan Clampett in P3 also hasn't taken to the shortcut, and I believe Bobby's Jim Beaver Esports, Connor Parisi in P4, his teammate, they've also not taken to the Joker as well. So bulk of your top 4 yet to take to the shortcut here, Johnny.
That's critical right now. Don't think Bobby Sant Jr. will jump Heikkinen. I think Joni Heikkinen's safe to advance, but it's who's going to take that second position. Can Clampett hunt down his American compatriot of Bobby Sant Jr. up ahead? Now, Sant Jr. hasn't head to a feature race all season. Clampett, we know, has the potential to head to feature races. He missed round 1. qualified 5th at Daytona last round, but remember he had issues, so we never got to see his full potential. I still think we haven't seen the full potential of Logan Clampett, and we'll find out if we're going to see that here at the end of the day.
Well, he was about 2/10 quicker than the 131 of Bobby Sant Jr. last trip around the racetrack. I'd love to see I'd love to see Logan hit the Joker this time through. Don't save it to the final lap. Actually, let me rephrase that. Whatever Bobby doesn't do here, Logan needs to do the opposite. Bobby's going to go to the Joker. Logan will go the long way around. So I think that's a good call. Now Logan just needs to put in a picture-perfect lap, get in any advantage he can, and then hope and pray that he can jump that number 131 Jim Beaver Esports car on that final trip down through the Joker.
Oh, it's going to be close. Heikkinen, I think, is either slowing down or Bobby Sant Jr. has world champion pace at the moment because Sant Jr. is putting that Subaru on rails. Who will head through to the feature race? That's Heikkinen on screen. Bobby Sant Jr. is taken to the Joker. He's going to join him at the final corner. But will Logan Clampett jump them? And across the finish line. Oh, that's not even close, Randy. What's happened there? Goodness, we've hyped that up a little too much, I think.
I think Bobby just put in a stellar lap, to be honest. Logan, I think, just didn't have a great one. The 37.2 was Logan's Joker lap, and it was a 37.3 was Bobby's, so I'm not sure what happened there. Well, I'll tell you right now, the fastest lap of the race for Bobby Sant Jr. was his final one, so I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, well, goodness gracious, we get to take a breath. We say goodbye to, I mean, look at how much talent we say goodbye to. Chepalevsky, Perez, Zadzon, who did I forget? Parisi, Clampett, Carlisle, Danny Matrani. Jeez, how can you, like, can we have a third consolation race, Randy? Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah, I mean,
have an 11th wild
it almost seems like it. It is, it's an extraordinary level of talent to throw away, but most of those drivers ended up making mistakes or getting caught up in their own. I mean, got to think Stillian was leading his LCQ before he got the slowdown. Daniel Matrani was leading before he got caught up in an incident. Andrea Perez was in the thick of it before the incident as well. We can see this racetrack, John, and we saw it through the bulk of the races. It can be very racy and things can happen quickly if you can keep yourself out of trouble. But that's really been the story this whole year, hasn't it? Is keeping yourself out of trouble. Very few people have managed it.
So let's see if they do it in this upcoming feature race. It's going to be 10 laps this time round. Still one Joker available to the drivers to use. And of course, we crown a winner. We hand out the most points in this feature race. Now, the talking points, Randy, I've found is that the set esports cars and the set esports drivers, the likes of Sami Trogan, are very good at this stage of an event on a worn track in the Subaru. But for Johan Harth, also in the Subaru, I don't think those Apex cars are as quick on this type of very worn track, almost down to the tarmac. So I'm a bit nervous coming up to this feature race to see whether or not Trogan or even Taskinen in the Positive Sim Racing car can knock off the two ART cars ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if, what the differences in setup tends to be. And remember, the other talking point, all these Subaru teams said they like the Subaru from early in the day, but the other cars, the Volkswagen and the Fiesta, are a little bit better on a worn surface. Garrett Lowe in the Soul Fiesta going to be starting in 5th. He'll be the only non-Subi in the field, and he'll be starting right in the middle of the pack. Going to be interesting to see if the Lowenbro car can make anything of this as the timer will count down to 0 and we get ready to hit your starting grid for your feature event.
And what a feature event it's going to be. We'll look at your grid, and it includes Johan Harth, who will start from pole position. He'll be joined by Sami Trogan. Both of these drivers have a feature race victory to their names. But for John Robertson, the rookie behind, and Otto Taskinen, they do not. What can Garrett Lowe do from the 5th position? He has a feature race victory to his name. So does Josh Fox and Joni Heikkinen behind. But for Adams, Hallman, and Sant Jr., some of these drivers, it's the first time they've ever headed to a feature race in their careers. Will it pay off for them at the end of these 10 laps? We've seen some lovely fairy tales in our previous 2 Sonoma events. This is the first of 2 this season. Who'll write a lovely story for themselves in 10 laps time? Will it be Harth? Will it be Trogan? How about Robertson? The lights illuminate. And we go green from Sonoma for the final time. Oh, a bit of contact through the first corner between, I think that was Taskinen and Robertson, or Taskinen and Trogan. Trogan almost turned around. He is! Sammy Matty. Trogan misses a jump. Taskinen's on 2 wheels in the wall. Oh, and this is carnage already into the first few corners, but Johan Hart leads so far.
I didn't like that rejoin from Sammy Matty Trogan at all. He got forced off the jump and was out in the grass, and knowing the field's going to be 2 and 3 wide to his outside, he kind of just cut across and made side-to-side contact with Garrett Lowe. There's not much those guys on the racing surface can do, and there's plenty of real estate down the straightaway for Sammy to blend a little bit later. So not the smartest rejoin I've ever seen, but it's going to see Johan Hart pick up a huge advantage. He's going to not take to the Joker on this first opportunity, and who's going to be settled in towards P2? It looks like it'll be Garrett Lowe, who after taking the shortcut will be right on top of Johan Hart, but remember, Johan still has the Joker available.
Yep, and Hart, he's in prime position to take his second feature race victory. Lowe has the pace here, though, on Johan Hart. Like we said, Randy, this Subaru of Hart in the ART Winter Experience Subaru, he just doesn't have the pace, I don't think, on this worn track.
We'll have to wait and see. Remember, it's only a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds to Delta. And if Garrett Lowe can get by Johan Hart here, he might be in to pick up a second career victory. Wasn't that great off the landing of the jump, though. I think he had to check up on the takeoff, but that Fiesta is quick. What do you got?
And what's happened? So Bobby Sant Jr., who was in, I think we're hearing word, Bobby Sant Jr. hit a tire bollard, was collected by, it could have been Sammy Matty Trogan, and he's out of the event.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there for Bobby Sant Jr. and the incident that we just have seen from him and the Jim Beaver Esports team. They've really come into sim racing in a big manner the last year or so, not only picking up a eNASCAR PK Freeze iRacing Series team, but getting partnered up with what was Reignition Esport, and now they have cars both in this championship and in the USAC championship that we see, as well as Garrett Lowe. He's dropped off the back of Johan Hart here, Johnny, and that's not what you want to see 4 laps into this race, with the fact that Johan still owes us the Joker lap. Garrett needs to be all over that Subaru, keeping that gap down and in. Right now, Johan, when he eventually takes the shortcut, will have about 3 seconds.
And it's going to be tight for the championship, because if Hart wins the race and Trogan remains in third, it's going to be awfully close, Randy. I think they'll almost be tied for the championship lead at the moment. I'm just making estimations, but the Frenchman versus the Finn, it's going to be a nice championship tussle. As we know, Mitchell de Jong is going to be absent for a few rounds, so he's definitely out of the championship charge. There's John Robertson, the ART driver, taking to the Joker, Randy, and the rookie, our top-ranked rookie, the #1 draft pick, you could say, is, well, not in the best position for a podium, but a 4th place isn't the worst end of the world.
Yeah, you're right, and he's already taken to the shortcut as well. Sammy Matty Trogan has also done the same in a field that has been plagued with issues. Garrett Lowe still trying to reel in Johan Hart, and I don't know what it was, Johnny. Garrett Lowe was looking like he had all sorts of speed to chase down Johan Hart and keep on top of him and really keep him honest, and it seems like he's made one mistake and maybe lost it a little bit. He got a little overly sideways there, and I was worried he might be in the process of making another one, but I don't know if he's hit something and he has damage we're not seeing, or if he's just, if Johan just got warmed back up and is now just breaking away from him. But Garrett's lost the back of that Subaru in a big manner with 4 laps to go.
And we ride on board with Lowe. We were riding on board with Garrett Lowe there. The North Carolina-based Lowenbro Motorsports, representing his home state in the United States of America, which is good to see. And it's good to see all those real-life partnerships come into place, Randy. Of course, Apex Racing Team and Johan Hart and their crew in a partnership with Patrick Sandell and the Subaru Winter Experience Team. How about Josh Fox racing with Formula One team Williams Esports? He's having a good event so far. It's sort of came out of nowhere, this 5th place. You thought he was out of the event 10 minutes ago, and now he's got a top 5 finish, possibly.
Well, how about the driver in P2, Garrett Lowe? We don't talk about that Fiesta as much. We haven't seen it in a feature, but his partnership with Lowenbro Motorsports, the real-world rallycross team, they got themselves running second right now in the 3rd feature race of the year. with just 3 laps remaining. So they're I think, going to be more than happy with that one. As Sammy Matty Trogan, by the way, remember the drama we've seen from him. Sammy's doing his best to chase down that second place running driver of Garrett Lowe. But Garrett, as we, oh no, I take that back. Garrett's already taken to the shortcut. But it's Johan who still owes this one.
Yep, Johan, who, I mean, he's just rubbing salt in the wound here, isn't he? To his competitors. And he's still not taking to the Joker. He's going to save it up his sleeve. This is Garrett Lowe being hunted down by the fin of Sammy Matty Trogan. So if we do the math at the moment, Randy, on the spot, we pay 70 points for a win, 64 for P3. And it was 11 points the gap between Trogan and Hearth. But, of course, we also pay points for qualifying in the heat races. I don't want to do it right now. I feel like I'm going to get it wrong, but I almost feel like they're going to be tied for the championship lead at the end of this.
It's going to be close. That's really the big talking point, is Garrett Lowe's going to work through here. This is going to be tight, by the way, between Lowe and Trogan. Trogan has been making up ground to the tune about 6 to 7 tenths a lap. And he's going to have about a 1 second disadvantage to start this final lap. This is going to be a big ask for Trogan to reel him in, but he's going to be very, very close after this 1 mile or so trip around the racetrack for the final time.
And you can identify at the top of the screen whether or not they've taken to the Joker by the green tick or the red X, of course. And both those drivers of Lowe and Trogan have taken to the Joker. So this pass is going to have to be done on the racetrack. But for one Frenchman of Johan Hearth, it's been a while since his previous Phoenix feature race victory. He'll do it in style with a Joker. The Frenchman. Well, let's start his 2019 campaign in round 3, because he'll take his first feature race victory of the season in that ART Subaru Winter Experience car. And what a brilliant event it was from our number 90 driver. He'll be joined on the podium by Garrett Lowe, the American, and then Sammy Matty Trogan, the Finn, will round out that podium in the 3rd position. Brilliant career best performance from John Robertson in the 4th position, the rookie. And rounding out the top 5, well, how about Josh Fox there, the Williams Esports driver? That's a splendid result from him. And a few DNFs down the order, of course. It's a career best performance for Matt Adams in the 6th position in that Nose Force racing car. But for Taskinen, Sant Jr. and Heikkinen, what could have been, Randy, had they not been involved in all those just, I have to say, bizarre incidents.
Johnny, we didn't notice this. Sammy Matty Trogan got a penalty of some sort.
Oh, what?
I'm showing Trogan net P7.
Yep.
So
like there we
Robertson,
go.
Fox, everyone gets bumped up 1.
Okay. So that confirms something. Johan Hearth takes the championship lead. No, Johan Hearth takes the championship lead for sure then. Robertson gets onto the podium for the first time in his career. 1 Fiesta in the 2nd position. Wow. So what that penalty would have to be for...
When he missed the jump on the opening lap?
Jump start, maybe? Did he jump the start?
That's what I'm rewinding to go look and see right now. I didn't notice anything, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Yeah. There was a lot of pandemonium on the opening lap. We know that, but man, oh man.
All right, let's. This is something we'll discuss post-race for sure, but wow, that came out of nowhere. Sammy Matty Trogan with a post-race penalty. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult to see from our perspective. It's something that only Trogan can see locally, but we'll discuss it for sure after this event. But Randy, what is that? What do we do now? I'm confused. I'm lost for words.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. And looking back at the replay, I think it has to be when he just missed the jump on that opening lap. Doesn't look like he jumped the start at all, but he did get caught up in that incident, and he got kind of shoved over to off the racing surface. It's the only thing I can see.
All right, okay. This is pandemonium right now behind the scenes. Getting ready for post-race interviews. I think before we do this, do we head straight to post-race interviews? Paul, just updating you. Okay, straight to post-race interviews. So we're just sorting out things behind the scenes here because we don't know who we're going to be interviewing, but we can confirm the first 2 positions are who they should be. So let's straight away grab the Frenchman there of Johan Hearth, who you're live at the moment, Johan Hearth, on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. And how about this, mate? I mean, you are a feature race victor again here for the second time in the series, and you did it in style with a joker on the final lap. Good to be back in victory lane for sure.
Of course it is, yeah. To be honest, I didn't expect to have such an easy race in the feature, but looks like the guys behind helped me a bit.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, at the beginning of the race, what was happening? Did you lack pace, or do you think Garrett Lowe was quick? Were you struggling on the worn track? Because we thought Garrett Lowe was going to end up passing you in those first few laps.
I couldn't get the power down up there, and I didn't want to risk it because I knew I had a virtual 2 seconds gap with Garrett as I didn't take the joker early, so just wasn't really taking any risk. I was taking it easy.
Was that power down in terms of with the track state, or was that something on your side with hardware?
I was due to track state. I had literally no grip up there.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it. You got very tail happy at some points of the racetrack. For you, though, it began in qualifying, you know, pole position, heat race win, straight to the feature. It was, you know, it was like a Mitchell de Jong round, basically, but this time we can call it a Johan Harth round. Hopefully that's what it becomes.
Yeah. Well, I never had a pole position before, so yeah, was happy with my lap overall. Happy with our race today, and hopefully I can repeat it in the next few rounds.
And joy and jubilation for sure for you and not only the Apex Racing team, but for Patrick Sandell and the Subaru Winter Experience crew. Who'd you like to thank? Who gets it done for you?
Of course, I want to thank the guys at Apex. First of all, thank you as well to Michele for supporting me, and shout out to our sponsors, Logitech G, Speedcaf, SDK Gaming, Computers, and thank you to Subaru Winter Experience and Patrick Sandel for the support.
Let's give him a real world drive, Johan. How about that? Let's go get you a real seat. Someone's just going to fund you.
I'm up for it.
Yeah. So let's go, Patrick. Get this Frenchman in. You get the whole ART team. Let's not make anyone miss out. It's a talented bunch over there, but we'll leave him alone for now. Johan Harth with his second feature race victory of his career, first of the 2019 season. And now it's a good time to hand to Randy Cheneth, who's alongside our second place finisher, Garrett Lowe in the Fiesta.
Yep, Garrett Lowe, you take a big second place here in the third round of the championship. First question has to be, you're the sole driver out here in the Ford. Your partnership with Lowenbro Motorsports as well, very much a part of it. What's been the difficulty being the sole Fiesta in the field? Everyone else, obviously, you know, the bulk of your competitors going Subaru and the rest going for a Volkswagen. What's been the difficulties with the Fiesta?
The main difficulty for the Fiesta has just been clean track. It just seems to lack the drive coming out of the corners on the dirt when we have a fresh track state. But once the track wears in a little bit, it starts to pick the pace up. And I think the more laps we run, all 3 weeks so far, it's just seemed to get better for me. So I just got to work on getting it dialed in a little bit for qualifying.
And then talking about, like, as you said, the more worn in, it seems like you get better and better. We saw that in that feature race at the start. You were all over Johan Harth, and we were wondering if maybe you might be in for your second career victory. But about midway, were you starting to make mistakes, or did Johan just find another gear and was just able to drive away from you?
It was a little bit of both. He picked up the pace about 4 or 5 laps in, and then I started making a couple mistakes, and it just gave him enough of a gap where he had breathing room. And so he was able to just start clicking off laps and driving away, and I was able to keep pace with him there for a while, but then there towards the end he started clicking them off again and driving away.
And then tell me a little bit, I'm going to go back to that partnership with Lowenbro Motorsports. We've seen such a huge joining in of support to these iRacing various esports series. We've seen, of course, the way both real teams and esports team have flocked to the eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing series. We have some real teams that are sponsoring dirt teams, and Lowenbro Motorsports, the partnership you have with them, one of several partnerships we have in this Rallycross Championship. Tell me a little bit about Lowenbro, and tell me a little bit about that partnership.
Yeah, this partnership with Lowenbro Motorsports has been absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy to be able to represent Steve Arpin and that entire team. They've been racing in America's Rallycross since it began, and before that back in GRC is where I followed them for the majority of the time. But happy to have CBD MD on the car in this beautiful pink and blue scheme we painted up. It looks amazing. And glad we could bring it home second this week.
Well, congratulations to you, Garrett, on what was a phenomenal second place finish in that Ford Fiesta. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that number 6 Fiesta?
Yeah, I got to thank everybody at Lowenbro Motorsports for the fantastic partnership, like I said already, and everybody at 5-Star Racing for helping to put together a good car.
So there it was. Garrett Lowe comes home with an amazing second place finish today. And now it's going to be Mr. Johnny Simone with John Robertson, who rounds out the podium.
Yeah, interesting that not even Garrett Lowe's career best finish, of course. He did win that feature race last year at Iowa, the very famous event at Iowa. But for now, though, we head to our rookie of John Robertson. And how about this, John? When the race finished, we didn't expect you to be in 4th, and that was a career best result for you. And now you've got an even better result. You're on the podium, the virtual podium. It feels even better.
Yeah, I didn't even expect it, to be honest. I mean, after that first corner, I was kind of expecting to just have another race where I was finishing 7th or 8th, but kind of got a little bit lucky, managed to get up to 4th, and then after the race, I just saw that I got promoted to 3rd, so awesome.
Track state for you guys. I was getting a bit worried for the ART drivers. I didn't expect you to have even one car on the podium. You know, not lacking your talent or your pace, but we know your car works really well in fresh conditions, but to have 2 on the podium's even better. You know, you guys worked really hard this week.
Yeah, we came into the round knowing that we had quite a lot of pace on fresh, and we did focus a lot more on the worn track to try and close the gap a little bit. But to come out with a double podium is just insane. I don't think I was expecting it, at least, coming into this race.
For yourself, though, I mean, it's good to get the nerves off right now. Now you've got some good results under your belt. You can go into Lucas Oil in a week's time and hopefully think, okay, I want a taste of that champagne that my French teammates having of Johan Hart, whatever French champagne he's having, you know, taste a bit of that and taste victory for yourself. How does that sound?
I'd love it. I mean, that's kind of the first aim that I had ticked off, to get a first podium. So, yeah, now it's just trying to get the first win. Hopefully we can do it this season. But Lucas Oil's a tricky one, so we'll have to wait and see.
And any idea what happened to Sammy Matty Trogan there? Did he jump the start? Was it something else? Didn't take a slowdown?
I think it was because he went into the Joker lap on the first lap when you got spun. So
okay.
I think that's what it was.
Did he really, though? Was he that far off the racetrack? I thought he just skipped the jump.
I haven't actually looked at it yet properly.
Yeah, but, I was going to say, you can't.
But yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to say, you've only just come out of the car, basically, so it's going to be impossible for you to see. Who gets it done for you in that ART Subaru Winter Experience Subaru?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank all the team for all the testing this week. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. I want to thank our sponsors, Logitech G, Speed Cafe, Simputers, and SDK Gaming, and you guys for the broadcast.
So that's John Robertson, who came home in 3rd today, his career best performance here for the rookie. And Randy, I noticed that one of ART's sponsors were Speed Cafe. I certainly don't think I'll be heading to a cafe for any speed, because right now I'm filled with so much energy after that event. I'm already looking forward to round 4 at Lucas Oil.
Yeah, I'm not. I think it's going to be the same as well for me. Lucas Oil is one of my favorite tracks to drive around with. I know that a lot of people, it's not the greatest to race around. The Joker lap can cause some dramas on the opening laps, but I love the infield section. I love the long right-hander that's all on the gravel, and the final hairpin that brings you up onto the oval. I love a lot of things about that racetrack, and I think it's going to put on a good show. But man, oh man, we need to somehow die down the pandemonium we've been seeing at these feature race starts, Johnny.
Yeah, definitely, you know, and I hope that's clamped down during the week for sure. But for Johan Hart, he comes away with a championship lead now officially, Randy. And for the Frenchman now, it's the first time in his career he has that championship lead. And with De Jong absent, Trogan not having the best of events after that penalty. And of course, for Chepolevsky, for Josh Fox, for even his teammate Robertson, Joni Heikkinen, all these drivers really suffered, except for Robertson, you could say. And Hogarth needs to just do the same thing at Lucas Oil.
Yeah, he needs to put in a great effort here to put in to get himself up there. But one thing that surprises me, Johnny, is Mitchell DeYoung missing one of these races. I'm surprised he's still as strong in the points as he is. He's 66 points off the lead, but still fifth in points right now is Mitchell DeYoung. So that's a great run from him, I'd argue, just to be able to, shows how strong he's been through these first handful of races to be up there. And it'll be interesting to see when we eventually get Mitchell back if he'll be able to have a bit of a rebound and a bit of a comeback tour, so to speak, through the last handful of races and maybe make something of it.
And that's X Games gold medalist Mitchell DeYoung, our champion from last year, of course. But there you have it, of course. These 600 horsepower rallycross cars will be back racing again on the 26th of October. That's in a week's time. We have no breaks between rounds for all 9 rounds of the 2019 Thrustmaster iRacing Rallycross World Championship. Coverage will begin, of course, at 6 p.m. GMT. A little bit earlier, of course, if you want to catch the action from our previous feature race. That took place today at Sonoma, of course. It'll all be live on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network. Visit racespot.tv and iRacing.com for more information on upcoming events. For myself, though, Jonathan Simon, Randolph Cheneth alongside me, Paul Smith behind the scenes in production, and our entire RaceSpot TV crew behind the scenes, we hope you enjoyed this RaceSpot TV presentation. I've been looking at John Robertson's team. It's gotten me all over the place right now. We'll have a laugh about it in a second. I hope you enjoyed this RaceSpot TV presentation broadcasted on the iRacing Esports Network. Our winner today, Johan Hart. We say so long from Sonoma.